Welcome to Casual Wednesdays. This is the show for Fish Tuxedo, where we talk about games and news and, game junk, all that sort of stuff. I'm Jonathan Downin. You're Mike Fire.
That is me, Mike
and
Fire.
This is the show for October 16th, right?
I think so.
I just checked the day, but I forgot it immediately, so whatever. What have you been playing, man? What do you got? What have you been doing?
What have I been playing? The Sims 4. Play a little bit of that.
Yeah,
because I'm doing that Let's Play.
I've been watching you play some of that.
Yeah. So, not much to say about that. You can watch it happen. I played a little bit of Shadow of Mordor. That game is still very good. Let's Play coming of that soon, so I guess there's not much to say to that either. What are you going to be doing for your Let's Play on that? I think you might have touched on it a bit last week. Yeah. So for my Let's Play of Shadow of Mordor, I'm going to be just doing a series about being an Uruk hunter, where just kind of going through each episode, hunting down a new captain or war chief or what have you.
Yeah.
And kind of really trying to make that a big deal, because I think that's the fun part of that game. So just really, really focusing on that, and kind of like the stories that happen that come out of meeting these new orcs, and because they all have such great, unique personalities to them. I thought that would be a good idea. So that'll be up eventually.
How far are you into that game at this point?
Into the game so far, I actually toned it down a little bit because I knew I'd be doing this. I didn't want to burn out on the game. I think I'm only maybe 20% through the game.
Yeah, I've been taking it pretty slow too. I would imagine I'm maybe at 30-40%.
Yeah. I haven't I think there's multiple maps. I'm still on the first one, and
I've heard rumblings of that too. That's cool. I didn't know that. I just kind of gleaned that off a podcast recently. So.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this world's kind of small. And then on all the podcasts I was listening to, they said that. And I still haven't gotten the 4 war chiefs. Still working on that. But
oh yeah, I'm not even close to that. I think I've only taken one of them out. And I was playing a couple days ago and trying to go after another war chief, and I had to abandon it. There was no way I was even going to kill him.
They mess you up.
I was trying for a half an hour, and it was just no matter what I do, I am not going to be able to do this right now for whatever reason.
I don't have a great handle on that combat, I have to say. I haven't quite figured it out. I've never really been that into the Arkham games.
Oh no.
I acknowledge that they're good. I totally understand why people dig them, but for whatever reason, the combat, actually, I did like the combat in those games, but just in general, Arkham Asylum didn't really catch me, and I never played Arkham City as a result.
I don't think I was as into them as a lot of people were. Especially when Arkham Asylum came out, people were just losing their minds.
Yeah.
I did finish that game, and I finished the second one too. I didn't even play the third one, but I liked them, but I wasn't losing my mind like a lot of people were either.
And obviously, the combat is lifted straight out of that formula, and it's easy enough to get a grasp of. But I don't know. I guess I don't play a lot of character action games, like Devil May Cry or anything. So I'm not. My brain is not in tuned to figure out that kind of timing. The timing that is required for these games to be good. And unfortunately, that makes me very bad. And remembering the button combinations to push to do specific things like executions or whatever when the time is there, when they have those sparkles over their heads, and I can't. I'm never quick enough to do that because I get a little anxious because there's another dude who's about to hit me, and if I go into this execution of this guy, then I'll probably get hit by this other dude. I find it very difficult to find a rhythm, but that's not because the game is not allowing me to do that. I think it's just because I'm not very good.
It's just the kind of system where you have to put the time in, and especially with the animation priority stuff, like you mentioned, the executions, you will get interrupted on that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So you just have to get a good feel for how the system works. But
and
also there is a thing. There is one perk on that upgrade tree where you can do faster executions.
Oh, okay.
That helps.
That sounds like it would really help because that's one of the big hurdles I find fighting those more difficult enemies, and you knock over the dude. A captain or whatever, you knock him over, and then all of his cronies come after you, and you're like, all right, well, I start beating on these guys, one of them falls over, and another one comes after me, so when do I get the chance to kill that guy? And
there are so many dudes at some point where it's crazy.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to playing it more because I really want to get good at that game, because I am having a lot of fun. It's awesome. It's really, really awesome. So I'll be playing more of that and hopefully put a series about it. So that'll be cool. And other than those two games, I have been playing some games on my iPhone.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Let's hear it. Let's hear about it.
I have been playing Grand Theft Auto. Could you guess which one?
Are you for real? Have you really been playing Grand Theft Auto? Chinatown Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have been playing Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars.
Yeah.
That was a good guess. Wow.
Well, I figured, I don't know, for some reason I figured it wouldn't have been any of the three I had talked about. So.
Yeah, well, that's why I figured I'd bring it up, because Chinatown Wars is one of those games I always wanted to get to play, but I don't know, it was on the DS, and I feel like that is probably the better console to play it on, is because buttons, duh. Mm-hmm. But no, so I decided to play it because why not? And I was bored at work on break or something, so I bought it. And it's cool. It's interesting. I'm not very far into it. I play it for maybe like 2 hours. I find it difficult to shoot anything. Aiming is difficult, and I accidentally punch my friends who are on my side. But I have heard that game gets really cool with like the way that it deals with your drug dealing and stuff like that, and that's how you make money in the game. So that sounded really cool. I was listening to like some old podcast or whatever, and they were talking about Chinatown Wars, and I was like, I should probably check that out because I never did. So
yeah, I remember a lot of praise for that game when it came out, and I did buy it when it came out for iOS, and I probably put in like 3 or 4 hours and haven't gone back to it since. But yeah, it seems like it would make more sense than any of the other ones to play on an iOS device.
Yeah. Well, it has those like touch specific things, and it's over the. I mean, it's over. It's like it's like an isometric view. So I guess it doesn't prioritize aiming over the shoulder because you don't have to do that.
Totally.
Which is that's I feel like that. I mean, I have not played the like San Andreas and stuff like that on iPhone, but I feel like that would be my big hurdle is that I don't want to aim on those devices. I just don't.
Yeah, it's real rough, especially on 3 and Vice City. San Andreas is a lot better just because the lock-on system works pretty well. And if you remember, those games, it's not even over the shoulder, man. It's like
behind the back.
It's
right?
some janky, behind the back. Yeah. Like it's terrible.
Oh, actually, while we're talking about that, real quick, just the camera.
Yeah.
That's kind of my gripe with Shadow of Mordor. The camera is just so tight against his back. It is just so.
Yeah,
sometimes
that's
it is.
True.
Playing on a PC, I feel like it would look okay. Playing on like a television, it's just such a big picture, and then it's mostly his back.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like that kind of bothers me from time to time too.
Yeah. I find myself running just to have the camera pulled back, even if I don't want to run, and it's. I mean, I guess they're trying to do the Arkham thing. But
totally.
Batman is supposed to look large and imposing, which he absolutely is, and he's terrifying in those games. And I don't know, in this game, I don't think that you'd get the same effect because I kind of don't give a shit about Talion. Right. I mean, he's perfectly fine for a video game, whatever, but
he's not Middle-earth dude.
Yeah, he's dude with knife and elf guy. And he's not a physically imposing man, he's just a dude. I don't see the need to just zoom in on his big shoulders.
I agree.
And and then it makes it difficult to see the world in front of you and around you. And I find myself trying to pull the camera back artificially by running. And I don't know. Anyway, I just figured I had just thought about that, and I hadn't mentioned that since. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So one last game I've been playing.
Oh yeah.
Played a lot of games. I've been playing Game Dev Story. Have you ever played this on iPhone?
No, but I have watched an LP of it. It might have been yours. Did you do one on your old channel?
That's Game Dev Tycoon.
That's Game Dev Tycoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a PC game. Which is essentially the same thing. It is essentially the same thing, except this one is made for.
Maybe I haven't seen. What's this one called?
It's a Game Dev Story.
Yeah, maybe I haven't seen this one that much.
It's good. It got me into that in Game Dev Tycoon because I wanted that on a PC.
Yeah.
Bought that as soon as it came out because I was so excited for it. And they're both very good, but they're tycoon games. But as opposed to making a zoo or whatever, you are building video games from you hire people and they have certain skills and they're good at certain things, and then you pick like a genre and a subgenre of a game. So you make like a a puzzle reversey game, which is a thing, reversey, I guess. Yeah. And then you get you pick which dude you want to write the story. You pick somebody that you want to make the graphics, and then somebody you want to take like the main lead on the sound, and then it comes all together. And at the end, they have a Famitsu type of judging panel who decides what your Metacritic score or whatever is. And
I mean, it's a resource management game, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I've been playing that game a lot, and I made a tweet about it that my best-selling game so far is Hatoful Boyfriend 3 or 2. It's the Hatoful Boyfriend franchise in my game is very it's a long and storied franchise. It's up to I think Hatoful Boyfriend 8 right now. And for some reason, those it's like I think it's a romance visual novel. I think is what you can do in the game, and like add those together, and it's like an amazing combination. And people dig that, man. That sells like gangbusters. That was my first 40 out of 40.
I mean, that's awesome, and I'm glad to hear that. But I mean, we're going to have, it's been fun doing this Fish Tuxedo thing with you and all, but I'm not in for this any longer because I don't want to deal with the lawsuits of the patent infringement, the copyright infringement, that surely you're going to get sued for now.
Well, the funny thing is that the tweet I had that was my best thing, because this game came out like 4 years ago, this game dev story, and I said 4 years later I'm still playing game dev story, and my number one selling game is Hatoful Boyfriend 2. And the devs and the publisher both favorited my tweet, so I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was funny of them, and I don't know, that game's really good, man. I love that game, and it's like $2 or $3 on iOS.
Has it been updated? Like, is it widescreen?
Oh
and
no,
stuff?
That game looks like shit. It's a tiny little box.
Yeah.
It looks like horrible garbage on the 5S, and I'm sure it looks even worse on the 6 or 6 Plus.
I mean, I'm so superficial that kind of thing actually turns me off from playing stuff. So
it's really deterring. I'll be honest. The only reason I play it is because there's no other. If there was another game that it literally did the exact same thing, maybe even slightly worse, and just fit the screen, I would pay $10 for that.
And they should put Game Dev Tycoon or whatever that other one is on iOS.
I think that's a Windows exclusive. So
even that one's kind of old at this point, though, right?
Well, they're making a sequel, and
are they?
They're making Game Dev Tycoon 2.
Oh, so maybe that'll hit.
So I hope that hits iOS because I would play the shit out of that, man. Game Dev Tycoon is freaking awesome.
Yeah,
but
seems
yeah,
cool.
I've been playing a bunch of games. That's what I've been playing.
Yeah, you have. Nice. Yeah.
So how about you, man?
What I got is Alien Isolation,
and
if you want to know what I think, you should probably watch that series. But real quick, that game's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, I've been watching it. I've been watching you play it. It looks really cool.
I mean, it's pretty slow, and if you're not into slow games, kind of plotting stuff, it's probably not for you. Mm-hmm. But I'm okay with that, and it's real. Like the design of that game is just real awesome. Like there's some of the game mechanic stuff that there are some problems, but just the atmosphere is just dripping off that thing like crazy. Like the environments are super detailed. Just the art direction on the whole thing is super slick, and it's just so tense all the time. It's just you can never relax, but it's. I don't know, man. I'm glad the pacing's real slow on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how to get into it much more than that, but it's fun stuff and it's awesome. Check out the videos and you see if it's for you.
Yeah, and I haven't played it yet. I've been watching you play it. And I'm not a huge horror fan, but that game I've been interested in that game for a long time because it's such an interesting premise. And I've been watching you play it, and it gets me tense, man. Just like there was it was like the other day, the last one that really got me that I was watching you play was you were like stuck in a vent, and there was like a dude standing on the outside of one, and you went over and ran out there, and then you tried to go to the other side, and there was a person standing on the other side of the vent, and I was like, like you walked out, and then somebody chased you out, and I was like, oh my god. Which
you
that
can't.
was a
I
pain
mean,
in the ass.
Reasonably so. You can't take many bullets in that thing. If you get caught, you're kind of done. I'm really digging it. There's 9 episodes up now. There's going to continue to be episodes every day. Check it out for sure. it's cool stuff. And I'm 9 episodes in, and still really haven't had my first true alien encounter.
Yeah.
Like I've hit the first first 2 scripted alien encounters, but I haven't encountered the actual alien in the game world yet. Actually, I think I could have if I'd messed up, but I'm playing pretty careful, so I really haven't even had to deal with it yet. But got the motion tracker. That's pretty cool. I'm now among crazy androids, and those things are freaky. It's fun stuff. It's cool. I'm looking forward to playing
going off of that horror tip, are you interested in The Evil Within?
No, man. No. Not at all. I have zero interest in that, and I watched the Giant Bomb Quick Look today, and it looks real bad.
Really?
It looks pretty bad. Like, maybe that's a little harsh, but man.
I watched the game trailers review. And
what'd they have to say?
They called it a horror masterpiece.
Oh, okay. Well, what do I know then?
Well, here's the first of all, I am not interested in playing horror games of any master class or no. I'm not interested. But I am kind of interested because I feel like maybe because the Resident Evil games, that story's so dumb, and the I don't know, the game has devolved into something that it was never intended to be. The general feeling I get from those games.
Yeah.
And then this seems like, dude who made Resident Evil wants to make Resident Evil, but no longer has his hands on Resident Evil, makes this game. Is apparently, according to game trailers, a horror masterpiece. I feel like maybe I should check this one out.
Maybe.
I will say though, I had seen in previous videos, I was like, this game looks like garbage. But while I was watching that review, I was like, this game looks surprisingly not garbage. I think it's riding right around like a 71 on Metacritic right now. I think it got like a 9 from game trailers.
It seems like reviews are a little bit mixed, and I have seen some high stuff. I've seen mostly middling stuff, and just a few on the real low end there. But I don't know, just for the way it looks and the way it seems to move and play, it's definitely not for me.
Not like Alien Isolation, which has gotten at the very top, like, hundreds, and then just the bottom of the barrel garbage review. It has gotten. I mean, actually, I think that the Evil Within is actually kind of similar, because I guarantee you that somebody gave it 100.
Right. It is similar.
It's very weird, and I guess that just goes to show you that these horror games just kind of, I don't know, they invoke a certain feeling out of people that is just very subjective. So far,
Alien Isolation is the kind of thing I'm looking for. I'm not really into horror stuff either. But if I'm going to play something, I want atmosphere.
Yeah.
And like the stuff I see from the Evil Within, it's just like crazy messed up dudes like chasing you and you have to gun them down and like. But at the same time, I like my Dead Spaces. Yeah. So I guess if I want that stuff, but Dead Space is an action game.
Yeah.
That moves really well. The mechanics are real solid. Whereas it looks like the Evil Within, it is still taking that like modern Resident Evil take on it, where it wants to be horror, but also it wants to have a fair bit of action. But the actual action mechanics aren't fun.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't played it, but it looks real similar to that Resident Evil stuff, and I just don't like how that stuff feels. I didn't play 6, but I played 5, Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
And the way that stuff moves is real clunky.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It looks like it's in that vein, so.
And it definitely does kind of evoke that feeling from what I've seen of it. And I don't know. It's not really usually my deal, but if I feel like if I were to be interested in these types of games, that this would be the place to start.
You should get it and do an LP of it. That's what I say.
That's what I was thinking, and then I was like, "Well,
we're going to double down on horror LPs."
I guess
on
so.
The channel.
My main thought was like, could I Redbox this and just play 20 minutes of it and figure it out? But I don't think Redbox carries PS4 games yet. So.
Oh, do they not?
I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Last time I checked, which was, to be fair, a couple months ago, so maybe it just wasn't as big of a deal. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever. So. That's what we've been playing, though.
Yeah, that's what we've been playing. Let's hit some of this news.
Yeah.
We got some dumb stuff here. So there was a big controversy about Assassin's Creed Unity, where one of the some dude on the team came out and like said something like they were holding the PlayStation 4 version back to 900p as to keep parity with the Xbox version and avoid all the controversy that comes with one version like running better or being higher resolution than the other. And of course, inadvertently caused way more controversy than would have been caused if they had just had different resolution to begin with. And then there was, after all of that fallout, Ubisoft came out with some official statements saying, no, like, that's not really what went down. Like, the versions, we optimized each version, and it just so happens that this is how it works with all the next-gen stuff we're doing. It has to be at 900p to run at 30 frames per second. Anyway, a whole bunch of garbage. So that happened. I think the truth probably lies closer to that first statement.
And what was in the second statement, there was something to the effect of, why would we hold back one version of the game to be at parity with the other?
Yeah.
Well, my question then is, why did you say you did? You know?
Yeah, then why'd you say you did? And also, there was a huge discussion about this on the last week's Giant Bombcast. Apparently, AC Unity is co-marketed by Microsoft.
By Microsoft, yeah.
So, I mean, you could read into that and be like, I think it's actually probably pretty likely that it would rub a lot of people the wrong way at Microsoft and maybe some higher-ups at Ubisoft if there was a higher resolution on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just probably not real cool. It's going to upset some people, so I think it's probably likely that it was held back a bit.
And I think
that's unfortunate.
I know, absolutely, and I think it's, I think this is super frustrating. Okay, like there's I understand that the optimization is not there yet. We don't have the same tricks. These developers don't have the same tricks that they had last generation towards the end, where you can make something like The Last of Us. And to be fair, The Last of Us, even at the end of that generation, was 30 frames per second. It kind of was a little muddy, but the art direction was enough to carry it, so that it still looked good. But then there was, we had plenty of 60 frames per second, full resolution games on the Xbox and the PS3. Yeah. And the promise of next gen 1080p 60 frames per second is non-existent. It's which I'm not even saying that like I'm so upset that this hasn't happened. It is disappointing for sure, but there was the promise of full 1080p 60 frames per second. And I think there's just the reality has settled in, and it's just like, A, these machines are just not they're not up to snuff, and B, we don't have the tools. We don't have the tools to even run a game at 60 frames per second without having the frame rate or without having the resolution so shitty.
Yeah, like I mean, this frame rate thing keeps coming up again, and another thing that happened in this is they were talking some stuff about 30 frames per second being more cinematic. Again, this came up. That first came up with the Order 1886. Was that it?
Yeah, that's such a...
But anyway, the frame rate stuff, from my perspective, I kind of think it's ridiculous when people get up in arms about that stuff. Because, 60 frames would be great. I want that too. But guess what? That's never going to happen. It's going to happen in some games, but until the end of time... developers will always be choosing 30 frames per second in given situations because it doesn't matter how good the box is. It doesn't matter because at some point they're just making a decision of graphics fidelity.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't matter. I don't like it's not that the boxes are underpowered. It's just like they can only do so much. I mean, next generation, we're going to have crazier boxes, but probably going to have 4K then, right?
Well, one would assume that we would be able to run at the full resolution of the TVs that we're using of the generation.
I mean, and then there's no way in hell we're going to be getting 60 standard for another generation or 2 or 3 because 4K is nuts compared to 1080p. And like, guess what? 3 or 4 generations from now, when like you feel like the boxes should be up to snuff to do 60 frames at 4K, guess what? We're going to hit 8K. Like, it's just this cycle where, like, it's always going to be just how a developer prioritizes stuff, graphics-wise. There's no guarantee of 60 frames, and there's never going to be a time where the boxes are finally powerful enough that everything can be 60 frames. That's just not.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't want to get into this whole thing about
No, it's
frame
true, though.
rates
I mean,
and whatever,
you're right,
but,
because you're totally right about, you know, all these developers, they're going to choose fidelity over frame rate. And
or they won't. Like, some stuff is 60 frames.
Yeah, I
some
mean,
stuff has, developers have chosen, hey, frame rate is what we are going for.
Those developers are generally, you know, very, very PC oriented and you know, very tech oriented, and they know those tricks and they know their audience. And Assassin's Creed, I mean, you know, I don't like that game will not be running at 60 frames per second. I also don't like that game is not running at the resolution that my television was made to run anything at. But at the same time, I'm sure that game's going to look great. Which, everything we've seen, it looks great.
It's going to look great. And if you care that much, you can play it on PC, but guess what? If you want it to run better on PC, you're going to be spending some serious cash for graphics cards and CPUs and stuff.
Especially for a Ubisoft game. You're going to have to double that.
And hey, if you got the cash to do that, by all means do it. And I would absolutely do it too. But, so that's that.
That's that. It sucks. Do you know what? Here's Ubisoft PR. Get your fucking head out of your ass. Like, just shut up. Can we just, if we just did not...
I saw your tweet. Was that about Ubisoft? Like,
yeah.
The more they say about the game, the less interested you are.
Yeah, because, you know, they just keep digging themselves further and further into this hole. You know what's you know, I find this a very popular alternative to, you know, to what they're doing, which is just saying things out loud, and they're upsetting everybody. They're not saying what people want to hear. Even if they may or may not be telling the truth, and even when they are lying, they're still not sounding good at it. So what I've always been taught to do is to just not say anything. That's it's one of those schoolyard things you learn. Like, you know, you don't want to start an issue. You just want to keep walking and go along with your day. Then just shut up. Just don't talk. Don't engage. You know what they could have done when asked about resolution? We're not ready to comment on that. That's fine. Yep. That's fine. There wouldn't. Then maybe you know what the article would be? Ubisoft won't comment on resolution.
Yep.
Who cares? And then just stay silent. And then when the game comes out, some dumb blog can say like, "Oh, we ran the specs, and you know, there's 10 lines missing."
Yeah.
Whatever.
Digital Foundry will do its job.
Yes.
That's what they do.
Digital Foundry can figure that out later, and then I can make my judgment on how the game looks before I even know what native resolution the game is running in, and I will be happier for it.
Sure.
So that's what they should do. Just do it.
Yes, Ubisoft, listen to us. We know what we're
super
talking
dumb
about here. PlayStation TV is out.
Okay. You could have fooled me.
Yep, so that's that news. And a final piece of news. Driveclub is also out. It apparently is not very good. It's almost completely broken. And because of all this, it has been delayed for PlayStation Plus users. So
that's a bummer. I'm actually disappointed in this one.
That all sounds real bad.
Yeah.
As much as I tend to heap praise on Sony because they do lots of awesome stuff.
Yeah.
This is borderline debacle.
This is horrible
Territory at this point.
And adding insult to injury, like the director of Gran Turismo, he like tweeted something or whatever, or he had an interview, and he was like, "Oh yeah, the Gran Turismo 7 when it comes out in 2015 slash 2016, it's going to be a game of the modern era." And I was like, you're on the same console.
Yeah, Oh yeah, this is real rough, man. Yeah. It's obvious with the delay. This still didn't give them enough time to get this all together. But with how it came out and came together, it seems like they just had to put this thing out. I don't know how much better it could even get. It seems like there's some core problems with this game that it wasn't going to be polished into any sort of diamond at any point anyway, so...
It never really seemed like a game that had a specific vision to begin with, which I always was a little worried about. I could never tell if it was a sim or if it was a Need for Speed kind of game, or...
Yeah.
And then, okay, so here's my question, and I wonder what you have to say about this. Do you think that there are genuine problems with, like, unreleasable problems with the PlayStation Plus version, or was it delayed because they didn't want people to play it for free before they were given the option to purchase it?
That last one sounds pretty insidious, and I wouldn't put it past any corporation to do stuff like that. But I don't know, man. Like, it's kind of weird that, I mean, it makes sense from a technical standpoint where, like, hey, we can't even support the current player base that bought the thing with the servers the way they are. So, like, we can't have millions of more people downloading the free version and trying to jump on the same servers. Because, like, I think even now those servers aren't really functional, like, over a week later for people who paid full price for this thing. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'll give them a pass and give them the benefit of the doubt that they just can't support it, and they're trying to do right as possible by the people who actually paid for the product.
Yeah.
But something's up with this whole thing. Like, something's broken in a real bad way, and there's just been so many shifts with how they're handling this thing that it's real strange.
Yeah, this is a real bummer, because I was actually kind of looking forward to this game, even though I wasn't entirely sure what it was going to be. Yeah. I was excited for a good racing game, and unfortunately we didn't get one on the PlayStation 4. But Forza Horizon 2 by all accounts looks great. But this game, I don't know. Yeah. Like, it makes me think, like, I mean, maybe did they sell more than they thought they were going to sell? That they were like, well, we'll make these...
I can't imagine that.
That's what I mean. Is like, he's like, well,
I can't imagine
we didn't have a server architecture to support this many players, and it's like, well, what'd you think was going to happen? Because I'm like, so they're running this whole... What are they keeping? Like, it's not like a Drivatar thing, is it? It's just like they're keeping ghosts.
No,
they're keeping,
I think it's
like,
just
stats
leaderboard
and numbers
stuff.
And it's all leaderboard stuff, kind of like Burnout or whatever, or Need for Speed. Plus, like, keeping the club stuff, like the club leaderboards and whatever. And, like, how could that have gone so horribly wrong?
I don't know, man. It's a serious bummer.
Hey, as long as Drive works, because the club doesn't. Because then if driving stops working, then all you just have is,
clubs.
Nothing. Well, you don't even have clubs.
You don't even have clubs.
It's just...
just...
Yeah, that's it. We got nothing. Should have made Motorstorm is what we got.
Yeah, they should have made Motorstorm. I almost
that
failed.
That was incredible.
That was just like a aneurysm. But I think that means we're done here.
Yeah, we've been going for pretty long.
Yeah, so if you find yourself with some more time and you want to watch us do some more stuff, click up there at one of those two places and you'll either hit The Sims or you'll hit Alien Isolation. Woo. And you can watch us play those things. That will be cool. I can't promise more aneurysms, but you can always rewatch what just happened.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. So thanks so much for watching. We'll be back next week with another one of these. Until then, be on the lookout for quick hits and more LP stuff.
Yep.
And that'll do it. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.